Hey everyone, happy Thursday. It is Charlotte K. I'm back with you guys live. I hope you are having so far a wonderful week. And hopefully I can get some of you guys on with me tonight as per usual. So let's see. For me, it's clearing up where I live. We had lots and lots and lots of snow, beautiful snow that turned into rain and dirty slush. But it kind of cleared up now, even though I hear that there's supposed to be another storm. So we'll see. We are getting winter full blown in effect. So, but hopefully you guys are cozy or winding down your day. And hopefully you'll wind down your day with me. But as per usual, I'm going to introduce myself to maybe some newcomers. Hey, Emily, how are you, beautiful? Thank you for stopping in with me. Let me introduce myself too. If there are any newcomers tonight or maybe a newcomer catching the replay, my name is Charlotte Cornegay. I am author, a recording artist, and founder of Interask Coaching and Forever Friends Academy. And this is my show, Forever Friends Academy, where we talk about all relationship topics. And hopefully when you come here, I would love to have you leave, maybe acquiring some more things that you can apply to your relationships and making you think about relationships in a different way. So that is who I am, and the recording artist aspect and singer-songwriter aspect of me. When I'm on the stage, I go by Charlotte K. You can find my music everywhere, and I would love for you to peruse. I say it all the time, peruse my music catalog, especially that we are at the tippity top of the year. I always say that what you can get from me as a musical artist is just love and inspiration. So I have a lot of motivational songs that'll keep you motivated, I'm sure, for those of you who have made some New Year's resolutions, some goals that you want to hit and keep you motivated, keep you on track. So 3 songs, well, actually there are 4 songs right now that are my go-to songs for me that I listen to. One is titled I Know You Wonder. The other one's called Rocket Going Up. And the third one is called Watch Me Work. And the fourth one is called Finish Line. So any of those you can choose to kind of listen to, and it'll give you some empowerment to go and do what you were born to do out here in these streets. Hey, Bobby, thank you for tuning in with me. How are you, love? Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So for those of you who might be new, it's a Q&A where I do allow room for you guys to ask any questions that you want, but it's also structured a little bit different from a normative Q&A. The Q stands for me popping out a quote to you in the beginning of the podcast, and then a question, and then, of course, we answer it. So a little bit different, but I always will leave time for you to ask any relationship questions that you have. So, hey, Eddie, how are you? Oh, my goodness. Thank you for popping in. And congratulations to you and your beautiful queen on your beautiful little bundle of joy that's coming. I don't know if the baby came yet, but that was so awesome. You guys are such a beautiful couple. Thank you so much for popping in. All right, so I am going to put out tonight's quote for you guys. And tonight's conversation, I kind of wanted to talk about, and I usually don't do hot topics, but I felt like this one is everywhere. at least I feel like it's everywhere. And it's the topic of Simone, well, his name is Jonathan Owens, but I guess when you look online, everyone says Simone Biles' husband. So I kind of wanted to talk about that. I'm going to wrap it into what I wanted to talk about today and see what you guys' thoughts are on it. But let me throw out at the top of the podcast what the quote is for tonight. So the quote for tonight is, "You cannot truly experience authentic love until you learn how to love without expectation." That is the quote for tonight, folks. Do you agree with this quote? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's something that, you know what, if you did, put it at the core of your relationship and put it as a mindset that it would help your relationship, help you kind of grow with one another and stand firm as those challenges and changes of life happen. So the quote again is, you cannot truly experience authentic love unless you learn how to love without expectation. Hey, Colin. Oh, thank you for popping in. Colin off the back says, I agree. I agree. I appreciate your answer, your feedback. So I'm waiting to see if I get some more feedback from folks. So Colin agrees. I'll say it one more time, just in case people are popping in. The quote for tonight is that you cannot truly experience authentic love unless you learn how to love without expectation. So that is the quote for tonight. Oh, Emily says I feel a little crazy, but otherwise good. Okay, I'm glad you're feeling okay. She said her day's been a little crazy. All right, so Colin agrees. Anybody else agree with that quote? Do you agree with that statement that you won't be able to experience authentic love until you learn how to love without expectation? Okay, Emily says she thinks she agrees too. Okay. Well, I love this, and this is a topic that I'm sure if you've come, I used to come on a lot before I took a little break, a little music break to get some music to you guys. But before, when I used to come on, I think it was like 3 nights a week when I used to come on before. And this topic just seems to always come up because in relationships, it's so hard sometimes to drop your expectations and to learn how to do that. But I will agree with Colin, and I also agree with Emily that I definitely know that to be true. I don't even think it. I know that to be true experientially, not only in my marriage, but I've had to do that in so many other areas of life. First, really, I experienced that learning how to do that with my family before even getting into an intimate relationship. And it's only afforded me to be able to not get disappointed at times, and as well as just have the freedom of actually experiencing authentic, true love. So I definitely agree with it. And I think, when I think of this topic of expectation and the question, yeah, Colin, I'll tell him you said hi. When I think of this topic of expectation, the reason why I think it's so important and why it continues to come up when we talk about relationship topics is because when you truly learn how to love without expectation, you throw yourself into trust. I remember I stopped going on live, but I didn't stop my coaching. I do have a coaching company called Interask Coaching. And then it turned into, I developed a group coaching kind of membership called Forever Friends Academy. So I've been doing a lot of my coaching offline on there before I started to come back. And I remember when I initially launched the group coaching that I had some participants that were on just to kind of see how it would be. And I was explaining to some of the participants that, for some of you like Colin, he and Eddie, both of them know me from high school. So they know that my husband and I started out as friends. That's where Forever Friends comes from, is starting our friendship organically near the end of high school. And so whenever I usually tell people our story, they always are like, well, how do you still like each other? How do you still love each other? How does it seem like it's still fresh, basically? And I always usually answer the question by saying, I just delight in seeing his transformations. I delight in seeing all of the things that he goes through. And I remember I had one young lady who was a participant, and she was like, okay, I like what you said, but you just delight in all of his transformations. Like, what if he gets laid off? What if, and basically brought up a scenario that, okay, is there any delight in that, seeing him go through that? And what I explained to her was that if my husband gets laid off, that's a circumstance of life. That's not him, right, doing something to me. It's not me getting on him to fix this situation. it's always going to be, whenever those situations come up, it's always going to be a test if I trust God, not necessarily my husband, right? If I trust God will bring me out of whatever situation has come my way first before I put that on him. And I said, I think because I think that way, it goes that way first for me. It goes in that direction first rather than pointing at him to fix the situation. That allows me to not put a whole bunch of expectations or stipulations or try to calculate how we are going to navigate or transition through this uncertain situation. And so I think when it comes to expectations, that's why it's important, because the trust is what allows you to navigate uncertain, right, transitions in life or uncertain situations that come up. And if we know anything about this life, is that it's very uncertain. You know, even though we have our daily rhythms and we have our routines, uncertainty comes at any moment. You know, life could throw us a curveball, and then we'll have to learn how to be flexible and adjust. And without having adaptability, without having an undergirding of trust and knowing that you're going to be okay and that no matter what comes both of your way, that you guys will come out stronger. Without that, it's very hard. You're gonna feel beat up, you know, and then that pressure, a lot of times, many of us buckle under that pressure, and then the pressure makes us come against each other and forget that we're supposed to be a team going through this situation. So that's why I think this conversation is so important. And I wanted to tie it in with what I wanted to talk about tonight with the whole, I guess, and maybe I'm late too, because sometimes I catch these hot, quote unquote, topics late because I don't really dive into it that much. So I believe what he said maybe about 3 weeks ago, I think, on a podcast, a very popular podcast called The Pivot. So I wanted to talk about that and kind of tie it into what I brought up tonight. And so for anyone who's watching who doesn't know or is not familiar with the story or what occurred, Simone Biles' husband, I believe his name is Jonathan Owens. I hope I'm not mispronouncing it. I apologize if I am. But nonetheless, he is a football player, and he went on a popular podcast. And of course, they were asking him about his process and how he got to where he is. And then one of the hosts just kind of went straight to ask him a personal question. And he basically just asked him, how did you pull Simone Biles? How did you get her? Because, anyone who knows, I mean, she's very widely and well known. She's an amazing gymnast. And so I guess he was saying because she is such a phenomenal athlete and a woman of that type of status, he wanted to know the story. So nonetheless, to make the long story short, in his explaining of the story, he basically said that she pursued him and that he was the catch. And that, he always believes that men are the catch. And so it threw, as far as what I'm seeing or hearing, is it threw the internet into a frenzy. Because I guess many people felt like, okay, well, no, he's definitely not, because of her accolades, because of what, who she is and what she's done, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought it would be great to talk about it, because when I first came back on doing my lives and talking with you guys, my very first principle that I introduced, because I always tell anyone who comes to my podcast or inquires about doing coaching with me, is that I'm a firm believer that there are fundamental principles that you can guide your relationship by. I do not believe you should be playing Russian roulette with your life, especially when it comes to making such a important decision of who you're going to be with or partner up with in life, because it changes the trajectory of your life, either in elevating you or it could bring you down. So I don't believe that God would leave us just clueless about it and not give us some grounding principles to help us navigate it, especially since it is such a fundamental and integral part of life. No one's going to escape this world without dealing with the area of relationships. And so the first principle that I introduced was that when it comes to quote unquote that talk about the woman being the prize, because that has been said as well, or the man being the prize, that neither of them are the prize and that the relationship is actually the win. So that's one of the principles that I'll usually tell, if I have a couple and they're starting coaching with me and their clients, that's one of the first things that we kind of talk about and we lay down is that, both of you are winners, I should say, right? Like if we're on the dating plane and we're trying to navigate developing friendships and seeing who, right, stands out to us, who, when we partner with them or we're engaging with them, is just a natural type of organic flow. And they bring out the best in you when you're trying to determine that. We're all in the running, right? We're all kind of like surveying the grounds. And once you have been able to find that person that you feel like they are, the best person to be by your side through all of the experiences that you will have in life, it is most definitely because you know that you're greater with them than without them. And the totality of the nature of both of your characters creates something that is completely new and something that is a totally different entity than what you, in your own self, no matter how valuable you were, you are now have greater value with the combination of you two. And I think, when I think I watched most of it. I didn't watch his interview in its entirety. So let me say that. But I did watch from the beginning all the way up until when they were talking about his wife and her response and his response. And what I will say is that one thing that I appreciated is that it seemed, in the way that he answered, that he was being honest. I don't know about the part of him saying he didn't know who she was. The host kind of looked at him like, gave him a little side eye, like, you didn't know who Simone Biles was. So I'm not going to comment on that part, but I do appreciate that if that's how he feels, that he actually stated it and he said it, right? And that he didn't necessarily just try to gloss it over and say what he thought was politically correct. If that's where he is and that's the honest answer he gave, then I think that's good. And that at least is a starting point and a place for them to evolve from. Because sometimes when you are, because they are newlyweds, right? And anybody, I know Eddie is married. Hey, Corey, I didn't even see you coming here. Hey, Corey, how are you? Anybody who is married or has gone into a relationship, a long-term relationship, we know the process is, it's like a purging of your own selfishness. You know what I mean? It's a purging of the independent, kind of mentality into an interdependent, collective type of thought, daily thought process where you are no longer just thinking about yourself, right? And that you have others more immediately to think of, And by the way, when we're single and we're making decisions, you impact people. But I think when you are in relationship situations such as marriage, which is a covenant type of commitment, that person is constantly there and in your face in a mirror. It's you have to think about it often. You have to think about it all the time of how your decisions will affect that person. And so I think when they both sit down and kind of look at that video, and he, both of them really, because I think also in as the interview evolved and he was saying what he was saying, and she was kind of trying to clarify, in the story what he was saying and how they both matched. And she was just the first to kind of reach out to him. And at the end, she was like saying that, at some point down the line, people will start to say that instead of Simone Biles' husband, they'll say, oh, that's Jonathan, and I hope that's his last name, Owens' wife. I mean, not wife. Yeah, Jonathan Owens' wife, saying that that position, as far as how the public view them, will now change. And I thought that's interesting that she said that, because it almost seemed like she wanted her husband to have the position that he plays in her life, and for that position to be respected and honored by the public, even though she has the status that she has. And I just thought it was a really interesting process to see play out, right? Because we all have our moments and our things that we go through, but when you're a celebrity, you go through it in public, and everybody picks it apart, and you have to kind of hold your strength in it all. And so, but you can see that she was kind of just, compensating for it, because I think of people who, phenomenal women who have, made their name in the public because of the art or the talent that they have or the skill. And those women, I don't think it ever turns into whoever they're married to, that then now they are called that person's, wife. Like, for instance, Whitney Houston, or someone like a Beyonce, or Michelle Obama, for that fact. I think, when you meet someone, they can introduce them as that person's wife or husband, but they've made, because of what they have done or how they've stamped who they are and what they do in people's minds, they're known as that. But that doesn't take away from the marriage at all. But I think as, they evolve, I think when you're telling a story, and if you are a person who knows that whoever they have been able to find and be able to experience authentic love with, they're most definitely considering that person a gift. They're considering that person who God has brought into their life as someone who they feel like is irreplaceable, and brings out something inside of them that when they surveyed other people, didn't. And I think that's what was missing in the way that he expressed it. Now, not in the evidence of his action, right, is that he married her. So that's solid in that. But I think we go into relationships and we go into marriage, and sometimes we go into it having to iron out our immaturities and having to come to greater understanding. That's what the marriage is there for. And I think when people were picking apart what he said, and of course it's a little bit of the culture today, you say one thing and everybody's on, and it's like, oh, they should get divorced, or they'll be headed towards divorce and things like that. And it's like, no, and not necessarily. Hopefully they have good people in their corner who can sit them down and maybe have talks with them, and people that they can glean from who have already been married for some time, that can help them kind of get to that understanding that the relationship is the win, and that the relationship is the prize at the end and in the process. So, and I don't think that it means that their relationship has to be over, but definitely the way that they both express certain things in that interview, showed that there are some things that, of course, they're still going to be working on. So what do you guys think? You don't, I always say you don't have to agree with me. I would love to hear your thoughts on what do you think? Do you agree with what he said? Do you think that the men are the prize right now? And I understand, at least I believe I understand from the positioning, the position that he took, if it's the fact that, you know, women, right, outnumber men and, you know, the pursuit of being able to find just because of the imbalance of the number and maybe because of the way culture is shifting right now, why he believes that. So I get that. But at the end of the day, in if we're going to strip it down to bare truth and bare principle, both of those people, you know, were in a process, and really the process that they're going through is really the prize, right? The process of entering into a relationship, being able to get to a certain point that you're committing to each other on so many different levels, emotionally, spiritually, physically, even for those who go through the process of legally making it official on all, right, all on all angles, to be able to go through that process and all of the things that you will find out about yourself through that process, and hopefully all the gems that you'll extract that'll make you greater, is really what the catch is really what the prize is, you know. So if we can kind of keep that at the center, then the relationship grows. And I think when someone asks a question in that way, even if it was the person who did the first step or made the first move, because of what that relationship has afforded that person to become, or is allowing them to go through the process of their becoming, it's nothing but gratefulness and gratitude and honor for that, right? That person who God presented, who could be a kind of like a package to be the facilitator of how you can kind of go through that growth process. And so I think that part was missing in the way that he answered that question, even if it was there, you know, even if that is something he authentically has, just in the way that he expressed it wasn't there in the moment. And maybe that's a conversation they had, hopefully, after they left. So I'm going to see if I see what your thoughts are on that. Maybe there are some people here who was like, Charlotte, no, I completely disagree. You know, the men are the catch now. You know, the women were the catch before. But I don't agree that the relationship being the win, essentially in totality, that the combination of the two people coming together and what's birthed out of that combination is not really what the catch is or what the prize is. And I was thinking to have, you know, my Forever Friends Academy is a membership, subscription-based membership. And so I have some members, and usually after we have meetings, we have like meetings that are offline monthly, and then I'll give them a newsletter to kind of wrap up all the things that we talked about in that month. And in the letter, I had made a statement saying that when, you know, most people like prizes, most people like rewards. And for those of us who are courageous enough and brave enough to kind of pursue our life passions and purpose and venture out into, you know, endeavors in life, we usually go after it wanting to be at the top of our game or wanting to elevate to the most optimal level, to be the winner, basically. And when you get to that point, I was just thinking, if you are the person who's competing in a certain thing, and when you win, are you the prize, or is the prize what you have acquired, right? And I think if you speak to any athlete or any person who maybe be a musician who gets an award like a Grammy or a trophy, it's great when you get that reward at the end, but that person knows that they put in so much work and so many things that they had to develop through the process that they had to go through, that that trophy could not just reflect all of what they put into their time, their investment of energy to get out. And so I was just thinking about that in the context of this discussion, that it can never be true that just either the man or the woman is the prize in it, because the process, right, is what and what we how we grow and how we transform through that process is the greatest prize for the both of us. Now, are they both winners? Yeah, if they were able to find each other, if they were able to drop their own selfishness and are able to let go of their expectations, to let love have the strongest voice, and to be people who can say, you know what, I went through this life, or I'm going through this life, and guess what? I'm able to experience love. I'm able to experience authentic love. Then that is a gift. Absolutely. That is the true, real gift. That's the true catch. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. And I also was thinking about this kind of scenario, and I know it's not like my Sunday scenario, so it's not one of my typical relationship scenarios, but I was thinking about asking you guys this question and to see what you think, like if you had a scenario, and if you have, let's just say you have children or a child. Let's say you have a child, and let's make them in their teens, and someone, they're able, maybe through their school or something, to meet this person who has been able to acquire a certain amount of wealth in life, and be able to, and wants to bless other people because of the wealth that they've acquired. And they give your child this kind of, I don't want to call it an ultimatum, but I'll say they present this opportunity to them, and they give them two choices. They say, I want to bless you. I can either bless you in two different ways. The first way, you can tell me everything it is that you want and you desire to the T, and I will give you exactly what that is. Everything that you say. Or I can bless you in this way, where I get to choose what I give you. I choose. You don't tell me any stipulations or anything like that, and I get to choose what I give you. And right, the idea of that is that maybe you can choose not to have any expectations and get way beyond what you could have ever imagined or thought of, or you can stipulate exactly what it is and let that person give you. And when I was thinking about that, as far as like, well, how I would answer, I think the first thing that came to me was like, okay, who is this person? How much do I know about them? It's basically came to a point of trust. How much do I trust this person, or the character of their word, or who they are, to determine which one I'm going to pick. And yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see what you guys say first. I'm gonna take a breather and see which one you guys would pick, if I have some of you guys still on with me, and hopefully I do. Let me see and make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, I don't think I'm missing anything. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any comments or questions coming in. All right, so I'm going to answer the question until, feel free maybe some of you guys are typing because I know sometimes it takes a while to type in for the answer. But as I was saying before, it really, right, depends on how much you are trusting of the individual and whether you think that the things that you need are going to get provided for. And it goes back to a recent podcast that I just had where I was talking about expectations as well. And I said, for me, my answer is going to be the latter rather than me giving the list of things that I want or stipulations and things like that and calculating everything to the T. I really enjoy expecting nothing and getting everything. You know, if that makes, I enjoy really expecting nothing and getting beyond what I could have ever capped or put a cap on myself based on whatever my mind could have come up with. And I think that way when it comes to God the Father. I am that way. My prayers continue as like, okay, please give me what it is that you have for me rather than the things that I just see. And even if I have not necessarily an expectation, but a goal that I'm making for myself, and I want to, I have this vision or a way that I'm hoping that it goes, I guess it manifests or it unfolds in a certain way, I'm always still going to leave, right, the room and the flexibility for God to say, well, you know what, Charla, it'd be better if it was done this way, or it'd be better if you got it in this timing, because then I'm not just so, so constricted or restricting myself based on the high expectation that I have. Or my in-depth attachment to that expectation. So I think when it comes to, this conversation that we're having around expectations, that's what it is. It's an idea. It's not an idea, but it's the conversation within ourselves as when we are walking and navigating, not only navigating our intimate relationships or relationships as a whole, but just the life of whether we think or we really truly are putting our trust in God. And, there's so many people that, because like I said, it's hard to talk about expectation and not talk about trust, because when you can let go of an expectation or expectations that you have, it is an action of trust. Right? It's an action of trust. And so oftentimes if I bring up trust when I'm talking about, relationships, and people will be like, well, I trust God, I just don't trust people, and they're very kind of staunch in it, and maybe many people are saying that because people have hurt them, because hurt people. They transfer that hurt and they spread it around. And there are some people who don't mean anyone, don't mean people good. They lean more to the negative. They lean more to evil. And with all that being true, I have said in the book that I wrote, 7 Stages of Love and Relationships, that our relationships offer the opportunity for love to have a physical presence here, right? So it's very hard to trust God without being able to understand that many of the things that you are hoping to experience are many of the things that will be provided for you, or as you are elevating and on your way up, that there are going to be angels and there are going to be people who help you along the way, who facilitate somehow a part of your journey and your success. And so a part of that trust has to go in the hand of a person or people. And that is also a reflection of you trusting God. So I think all of that is tied into it, and when you have deeper understanding of that, then when people ask questions, if let's say a husband and wife is there, as in the situation with Simone Biles' husband, when they ask you, who the catch is, or how did you land her? You really look back in it, and even if it is the process that person came to you first, just the fact of the gift that you are able to have that type of, relationship, if it is a relationship where you are honoring that, and that that not everybody experiences, then you have a totally different approach to it. You have a totally different approach. So that's what I want to present to you guys tonight. And I always want to leave room if you guys have any questions, maybe not about what I brought up tonight about expectations and trust, etc., and who's the catch, men or women. If you have anything else that you are a topic, a relationship issue, or something like that you want to present, let me know. This is the time where I'll give for the Q&A. If you have any questions or statements, let me know, and I'll try to answer it the best of my ability before I hop off. So let me give a moment for that. Let me give my shout outs for those of you who came in with me: Emily, Bobby, Eddie, of course, Corey and Colin. It was so good to, well, I didn't see you, but to see your icon and that you joined in with me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys. I always say you could be anywhere, but you're here with me. You took a moment, so I appreciate you. Okay. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, I don't see any questions just yet. Let me give it one more minute just in case someone's typing. And I'll do a little recap just in case someone is typing, just to give them time. And then we will head out. So today's episode, the quote at the top of the episode is basically, do you agree with this quote that says, you cannot experience authentic love unless you learn how to love without expectation? Do you agree with that? Do you believe that is something that you can apply to your relationship so that you guys can honor each other and cherish each other through all the stages of life that you will go through? Most of the people on here that came, including myself, agree with that statement, that you do have to relinquish your expectations to truly, authentically love someone and then be able to receive their love towards you. And we talked about the Simone Biles husband's situation where he talked about her pulling him, shooting a shot at him and him being the catch, and kind of rounded off on that the relationship is the catch. The process that you get to go through, the transformation that you have when you partner up with someone in life that is able to see blind spots that you are not able to see by yourself, is the catch. Is the catch, though, the fact that you can have someone who can stand in the fire with you and be able to, right, exude, reflect the love that you give to them back to you, the love that comes from God the Father outwardly to you, is most definitely the catch. And I think when you think of it that way, that you'll realize that when somebody, asks a question like that to any one of you, then the first thing you go towards is answering in that manner and acknowledging that this person is presented as a gift to you. And so that's what we talked about tonight. I will be back on Sunday for Sunday scenarios. I really enjoy those. I got to think about what I'm going to present to you guys, but we'll be on for another Sunday scenarios where we have a relationship kind of circumstance and situation that a couple's in. And we get to be their therapist and their coach, and we get to look from the bird's eye view and help them out. And hopefully, through the process, learn some principles and gems that we could use when we are experiencing things that we go through in our relationships, in our life. So thank you guys for being with me tonight. As always, your presence is everything to me, and I'm glad that I'm back on here with you guys. So I will be back on Sunday. And for now, always remember to live to love freely. If you want to hear more from me, if you want more one-on-one coaching, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, it's going to be in the description. If you're on IG, click that link on my bio. And I think if you're on Twitch, I have also the links in my bio. You can go to my Forever Friends Academy website and become a member, as well as my book is on there as well if you want to purchase 7 Stages of Loving Relationships, the fundamentals of relationships. So love you guys. Until next time, always remember to live to love freely. Bye.